corridor was thick with tension and nobody moved. 1 minute passed, then 2, 3, and 4. Just as the fifth minute approached, the door creaked slowly like someone pushing it open from within. A figure stepped out. It was Faye, awake, alive, and walking. Her hair was wide and tangled. Her eyes were bloodshot, swollen from some unseen struggle. Her breathing was heavy and desperate, like she had been running through a world nobody else could enter. She didn't look at anyone. She didn't speak and she didn't stop walking. Everyone silently made way for her. Even Bayo, who had been crying minutes ago, moved aside instantly, fear spreading across his face like cold water. No one asked her a question. No one touched her. No one said a word, and the moment she disappeared around the corner, a trembling silence filled the hallway. Victor swallowed hard. His suspicion was confirmed. Some people walk with us, speak like us, laugh with us, study like us, but they belong to deeper realms. And that morning, Faye had shown them a glimpse of the other side. The fear on Bayo's face had melted into confusion, guilt, and a deep silent question that no lecturer had ever answered. What exactly happened? Slowly, students began returning to their rooms. The noise returned little by little, but it was a forced noise, the kind people make when they are trying to cover up their fear with normal activity. Joseph swallowed loudly. Guy, what did we just witness? But nobody replied. Silly sat on the edge of a chair hugging her books. Are we going for the examination like this? She whispered. Another asked the most important question. Should we report the incident to the school clinic? Bayo shook his head violently. Report waiting, I beg. That she slept and woke up. The clinic will ask follow-up questions that we cannot answer. I beg, forget clinic matter. Joseph rubbed his hands dramatically. But her face, it looked like she fought inside the dream. Did anyone notice that? Well, all I can say is, it is well, oh, before I receive an invisible slap. Nobody should kill me for my mother. Victor packed his books and said quietly, we need to go for the examination, but even he could hear the weakness in his voice. They were not the same people who entered that room the night before. Something had shifted. They took turns in having their baths and walked down to the campus together. Joseph kept looking behind him every few steps, and they all ran as they approached a lonely path. By the time they reached the examination hall, the rumor had spread already. You know how universities are. News travel faster than registration queues. Some said Faye fainted. Others said she collapsed from stress. And a few said she fought winches in her sleep. And surprisingly, one person said a spirit came to collect her homework from her as if she was there. Students whispered in clusters. Which lodge? Who saw it? Is she possessed? I heard she turned into a fish, one replied. Shut up! Who told you that? Victor and his group ignored the stairs, but they could feel eyes following them, like invisible cameras recording every step. Bayo felt the pressure the most. Guy, he whispered to Victor, if anybody asks me questions, I could just deny them. I don't know anything. I don't see anything. Victor didn't answer because his mind was elsewhere. He found himself scanning the crowd for Faye. But she was nowhere, not at the hallway entrance, not sitting on a bench, not walking towards the examination hall, and it was as though she had vanished from the school entirely. He checked the far corners again. Nothing. What if she's not coming for the examination? What if she's still recovering somewhere? Or worse, what if she's somewhere beyond this world? So many what ifs, but he pushed the thought away because the course was hard enough and there was practically no need adding spiritual worry to it. When they entered, the examination hall felt unnaturally cold. Chairs were spaced out neatly and the vigilators paced like military officers. Students sat with their calculators and praying silently. Victor took his seat, but his mind wasn't ready. His heart was still in that room. He looked to the right. Bayo was sweating. Victor resisted the urge to roll his eyes. Then, just 2 seconds before the invigilator distributed the papers, the door creaked. Everyone turned, and there she was, Faye, walking slowly, calmly and casually as if she hadn't scared half the lodge that morning. She still looked tired, but she was normal, quiet, neat and composed. The invigilator pointed her to an empty seat and she sat down without a word. Victor's heart thumped loudly. Is she okay? Did she remember anything? Did she know everyone was talking? And did she know she had terrified people? He wanted to ask her. He wanted to understand. But this was not the time. The examination started, but Victor could not concentrate. His eyes kept drifting back to her. She wrote calmly, boldly, and confidently, as if she had not slept like someone caught between two worlds. Who exactly is this girl? Victor whispered to himself. For the first time in his life, statistics felt less caring than a human being. Luckily for him, in the midst of all the distractions, he was able to answer 4.5 questions out of 5. When the exam finally ended, students rushed out, stretching their necks like released prisoners. Some discussed the questions. Some argued with confidence they did not actually have, and some were already calculating their failure after cross-checking from their handouts. Victor waited outside for Faye, but she didn't pass by. He waited longer. Still nothing. Then, out of nowhere, Joseph appeared beside him. Victor, abeg, who you dey find? Let's go and eat. My body dey shake. I am looking for Faye, Victor said quietly. Joseph hissed loudly. That girl? No put your mind for her matter oh. Something no dey right. But Victor couldn't help it. Something told him the story was not over, so he decided to ask someone who knew her personally. He went to the faculty's reading shade and found Anita, a close friend of Faye. She was surprised when Victor asked about her. You want to know about Faye? But why? Victor hesitated. Well, I'm just curious. Anita sighed. My dear, her life is not simple. What do you mean? He asked. She looked around to be sure no one was listening. There are so many stories here and there about her being connected to water. In fact, her family is different. Victor felt a chill and then he asked, So, did you hear what happened last night? Anita nodded gently. I think you people disturbed something. Victor exhaled shakingly. Life is indeed deeper than he thought. After Anita reviewed pieces of Faye's family history, he should have stopped. I mean, normal people would have stopped. Wisdom itself would have tapped him on the shoulder and said, Brother, face your front. This matter no concern you at all. But Victor didn't listen. Why? Because curiosity has a way of turning quiet people into investigators and from investigators into victims. For days, he kept thinking about Faye, about the swelling bowl of water. How Faye walked out of Bayo's room as if she had returned from a world nobody else could enter, and what Anita told him. The more he tried to forget, the more the thought clung to him like a stubborn glue. He wanted answers. So after the whole exams, he made a bold decision, or more accurately, a foolish one. I will go to her village and see for myself. I want to understand who she really is. If common sense had a mouth, it would have screamed in his ear, Are you mad? But curiosity had already tied the wrapper and was dancing inside his mind. The night before he planned to travel, he sat on his bed, packing shit into a bag he had no business packing. He imagined the village and he felt both fear and excitement. Once I reached there, everything will make sense, he muttered to himself. He didn't know someone else was listening. Soon, The air inside his room became strangely heavy, as if someone had turned on an invisible weight. Victor didn't notice because he was too busy planning his investigation, the investigation that nobody sent him. It happened too suddenly. As he folded his shirt, the corner of his eyes caught movements near the door. He turned, and there she was, Faye, standing inside the room, looking like a shadow that had decided to become a human. Victor's heart jumped into his mouth. He blinked rapidly, thinking his eyes were joking with him, but she didn't disappear. In fact, she moved closer. Faye, he stammered. She didn't answer. Her face wasn't the calm, gentle one he knew. Her expression was sharp like a person whose patience had expired. Her eyes carried a storm, and her presence carried a cold wave. Victor's legs suddenly felt like noodles. "How did you get here?" he whispered. Her voice was low, heavy, and nothing like the one she used in class. "Since you don't want to mind your business, Victor." She took another step. "Then, what you were looking for, I will give you in full dose. Remember, you people troubled my spirits, you and Bayo, so get ready for war." Victor felt his chest tightened. He wanted to run, but his legs refused leadership. They stood still like two confused trees. "Faye, wait. You were only what?" she snapped. "Searching for what is not yours and digging into realms that don't belong to you?" Victor tried to swallow, but his throat forgot how to walk. She stepped even closer until she stood right in front of him. Then she opened her eyes wider. Victor froze because her eyes were not normal eyes. They were deep, moving and reflecting water under moonlight. It felt like staring into a river that wanted to swallow him. His entire strength drained from his body. His knees gave way and his arms dropped. It felt as if someone unplugged his life with one switch. He collapsed onto the bed, trembling. "Victor," she whispered, her voice a dangerous calm. "You want to know me? You want to study who I am? Don't worry, I will show you." She leaned over him slowly. Her hand touched his chest. His body became heavy. He felt his strength leaving. His mind went blurry and his breath weakened. Then he realized what was happening. She wasn't just scaring him and she wasn't warning him. She wanted to finish him. Not with a knife, not with poison, but with something far more dangerous. She wanted to sleep with him spiritually, to drain him, to make him useless for life and a walking shell. He tried to speak, but his voice was locked somewhere behind fear. Faye leaned closer. Her hair brushed his face. Her breath was cold and not human. Something deep inside him struggled for life. His spirit refused to die quietly, and in that moment of desperation, from somewhere inside him, from the deepest parts of fear, and from the place where survival lives, Victor managed to push out one word and one name with the strength of a man hanging from a cliff. "Jesus!" He screamed that name like his destiny depended on it, and truthfully, it did. Immediately, the room shook. Faye jerked back as if something slapped her. The coldness around her cracked, and her expression changed to shock, then rage, and finally to fear. Her phone flickered like someone changing channels. "No," she whispered. "You shouldn't have said that." But Victor, realizing that it worked, screamed again and again. "Jesus! Jesus!" This time, he didn't even sound human. He sounded like a rescue cry. He kept on screaming that name, and something invisible surrounded him and was pushing her away. Her eyes burned with anger. "You will regret interfering," she whispered, and then she vanished. Reality hit him. He sat on that bed, sweating like someone who ran from Lagos to Ibadan. He couldn't move for minutes. He couldn't speak and he couldn't even think straight. Was it a dream? No, it wasn't. I saw her. She opened her eyes on me. It was a dream. It took him almost 40 minutes to conclude on that. He looked around the room. Everything was in place. Everything was normal except him. He was not the same boy who planned to visit a mysterious village. He had learned something powerful, that curiosity doesn't just kill cats. That same curiosity almost killed Victor. He sat on the edge of his bed and whispered to himself, "These things don't happen only in films. They are real." He knew now, painfully and clearly, that the world had depths he was not ready to swim into. And Faye was not someone to investigate. By the next morning, he still couldn't think straight. He hadn't slept. His legs felt like borrowed properties, and every shadow in the hostel scared him. He needed help, so he went straight to the one person who had witnessed part of the story and whose life was also at stake. When he got to Bayo's room, he knocked like someone being chased by debt collectors. Bayo opened, saw Victor's face, and immediately stepped back. "What's going on?" he asked. Victor didn't even sit. He grabbed Bayo by the collar. "Bayo, she came to my room." Bayo froze. "She? Which she?" "Faye." Bayo's eyes widened like someone who just saw a ghost unexpectedly. He immediately locked the door and was on alert. "Wait. Please, explain to me like an ABC student. She came to you. How?" Victor narrated everything. How she had promised to also visit Bayo and the scream of Jesus that saved him. By the time he finished, Bayo was already sweating like a Christmas goat. "Victor," he whispered, trembling, "we need to run." "Run go where?" Victor asked. "To church now." Victor didn't argue. They sprinted out of the hostel like two goats chased by thunder. They didn't want a roadside prophet, and they didn't want someone who would just shout. They wanted someone whose prayers had Bluetooth connection straight to heaven. They ran to a well-known, respected pastor in the area, a quiet, humble man who never joked with spiritual matters. When they arrived, breathless and shaking, the man looked at them and asked like a father, "What's wrong with you?" They nearly fainted. The pastor calmed them down by first giving them cold water and then asked for the second time. Victor narrated again, this time with Bayo beside him shaking like a car with engine knock. When he finished, the pastor closed his eyes and took a deep breath. "My sons, that girl is not ordinary. You have crossed into something deeper than you understand." Bayo whispered, "Pastor, please don't scare us further." The pastor replied, "I am not in any way scaring you, but you need to know this thing. Her lineage is one of ancient water custodians. Her grandmother was a keeper, a woman who served a powerful entity in the deep river. Their generation does not marry. They are chosen to maintain a covenant that existed long before any of you was born." Victor's skin crawled. Bayo held his chest. He literally died. "Pastor, please tell me this is a joke." The pastor shook his head. "That girl is not just in your school to read books. She's on an assignment. I mean a spiritual assignment." Victor swallowed hard and then he asked, "What assignment, sir?" "To recruit people," the pastor replied, "to weaken destinies and to pull souls away from their paths. She may not look like it all, but she's part of the reasons good girls with excellent moral upbringing enter the university and become wild. God really saved you because you were about to carry a load not meant for you because of curiosity." Victor nearly cried. Bayo began begging God for forgiveness of sins he hadn't even committed. The pastor leaned forward. But listen to me carefully. You have to move closer to God. Avoid sin or anything that will break the edge. Else, she will destroy you. Destroy? Bayo squeaked. The pastor nodded. Not just that, she will fry your destiny like suya and serve you to the very spirits she answers to. The pastor stood, placed his hands on their heads, and prayed strongly. When he finished, he said to them, You are free, but remember, freedom must be maintained. Stay close to God, run from sin, and fearlessly avoid that girl. Victor nodded like a student giving an examination expo. After that day, they tried to return to normal life. Emphasis on the word tried, but nothing about their life felt normal anymore. They walked around with double awareness. One eye open for lectures, the other eye open for anything that looked like water, shadow, reflection, or spiritual disturbance. Bayo almost stopped drinking water altogether. He said, What if she day inside? Everyone was on the edge. But if they thought the matter was over because they visited the pastor, they were wrong. The real storm began the next semester. A lecturer was teaching when suddenly, without warning, an alligator from nowhere crawled into the lecture hall. Students jumped, screamed, and scattered like roaches. Even the lecturer struggled with them. Because why not? When the alligator finally crawled out, a puddle of water appeared in the middle of the hall. Nobody spilled it and nobody poured anything. People who were in that room the day wonders happened began to ask, Is it her? But she was there pretending to be scared like every other, so the whole assumption didn't add up. So many strange things began to happen. The campus became literally hotter than pepper soup. People prayed while walking and people prayed while eating. The fellowships on campus began to notice the spiritual tension. One by one, they announced emergency nights of prayer. Students gathered every night reporting the matter to God. It almost became worse because several death incidents were recorded. Vito and Bayo were always with the pastor after lectures because they knew exactly what, or rather who was behind the whole mess. Crusades upon crusades began to happen. Even those who didn't believe in God joined because water don't pass Gary. And soon peace returned. But something happened. Faye was nowhere to be found. It was as though she evaporated. Lecturers asked, Where is that brilliant girl? But nobody had an answer to that question. It was as if someone deleted her from the world. The fear got lifted. The prayers continued for another week just to be safe. Then campus life returned to normal and students attended lectures without looking behind them. Up to today, no one has heard anything about her. In the months that followed, Victor quietly rebuilt himself. He remained in school, but not as the curious boy who once chased mysteries. He became a man who understood that wisdom sometimes begins where curiosity ends. He read alone. He discovered that peace comes easiest when you stay in your lane, focused on your books, and allow the universe to mind its own complicated business. When graduation finally arrived, students celebrated loudly, jumping, shouting, hugging, and posing for pictures. But Victor stood a little apart, thanking God because he knew it was God who made him escape to what should have ended his future before it began. And that taught him a truth he carries even up to now. Live wisely, live prayerfully, and never go searching for what does not concern you. So, now my dear Karma tribe, let me ask you, what lesson did you take from Victor's journey? And have you ever experienced something that taught you to mind your business the hard way? Share your thoughts with me in the comment section. I would love to read them. And remember, life is spiritual. Move wisely, stay prayerful, and never ever poke your nose into what your destiny didn't send you to explore. Please don't forget to like the story, share to your loved ones, and subscribe to this channel if you have not already done so. Until I bring the next interesting story your way, it's a goodbye from here, and God bless you.